Twitch is already going, so we should be good. Let me just double check. That's fine. All right, ready?
I'm ready.
All right. We should be live, and you should be. Oops.
It looks like the wrong thing. Okay, good.
No, it's good. Yeah. Let me just get it back here. Sorry, folks. We're too many screens. There it is. Right. Okay. All right.
Good.
So,
Yeah.
welcome back. Day 2, round
Round 3?
round 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we have our audio sound should be good. I am monitoring this chat, so if we are too loud, which is probably more likely because we have my nice microphone here,
Okay.
if we're too loud, let me know and we can turn that down. But I'm seeing, that looks
good.
That looks good.
Yeah.
That looks good. So we are going to look at round 3 games from this morning. Round 3 is where we start to get some interesting matchups. That's your 2-0
It was interesting enough in round 1, actually.
round. That's
Yeah,
right.
But round 3 is going to be interesting. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we had 13 2-0 players, and we're going to look at a bunch of them today.
Okay.
All right. So,
So
if you've
who's
got,
this?
I'm sorry. Yeah. If you've got questions, put it in the chat. We'll try and get to them. And this is we're going 6-5-4-3.
This is game 6.
This is game 6, and this is. I'm gonna try this. I'm sorry, Ben, if I mess this up. It's Benjamin Drean Guenzaisa from France, playing on black with Milos Bojanek. Ben is a 7-dan. Milos is a 4-dan from Serbia.
Okay, yeah. I think I'm going to do a pass on those names.
I get the hard part. You just have to look at the game.
Okay.
All right.
So the France is black, right?
Correct.
Okay. So black got to play 2 Shimaris. I'm sure the AI likes him for that. So I would suggest that you play some kind of a Kakari here. So this would be an option. And this would be a Joseki that you would see, for instance, in Katago. But in the old days, we would say that black's going to pincer here, and that's still a possibility. And for human players, it's still pretty challenging sometimes, so that's okay. So white avoided that by playing a Waryuchi. That's old style. Okay, so up to this point, it's okay. Pushing here, it's probably helping black more than it helps white. So white should leave that. Sometimes white will play here, in which case, if black covers, white can play here and black cannot cut. So black would play here, maybe extend, or maybe play on this side. In this variation, white does eventually white has the potential to get a lot of forcing moves here. So getting that Sagari there on the first line, sometimes it really helps to reinforce the white group when white is ending up making some eyes or something. So those extra forcing moves make it feasible for white. So that's something that white can be thinking of doing later on in the fight. White might not have to do it just now. By the way, if white plays here and black does something like this, that's just a bit too painful. Even if black does this one, white is getting a lot towards the corner and can add a stone or can play away at this point. So one is the move that white should be thinking of playing. And all of this stuff is sort of helping black, so it's not so productive. Okay. Yeah, so when black plays the shoulder hit, this is the AlphaGo type of move. Pincering here is a good move sometimes. So instead of crowing, in which case black would be playing here, some variation like this, where black would be playing another move towards the center. It makes it easier for black to reduce, give white a small skill area. So pincering here puts more pressure on the black stone and is creating an area in the top left. So this is a move that the idea, pincering instead of directly answering the shoulder hit, there was some resistance to it at first because with a shoulder hit, like when teaching beginners, I say that this is close to the white stone on the C line. So you want to think of pushing on one of these points. So that's the sort of default move that humans have. Pincering is more of an AI type of move, but it's really good in a position like this where you want to be attacking on a large scale if possible. Okay, so up to this point, it's sort of okay for. So here black is getting rid of the threat there, so if black had played away, white would have at any point the option of playing here and playing here. So yeah, in this case, black would have to answer on this side, and white would get to play this one. So this is something that sort of hard to say how important it is, but black was stopping white from doing that by playing the Hanesumi. So it's a pretty big move. I'm not going to say it's bad. And white got to play the extension there. We get into this confused fight. It's okay for black because black is linked up in the center. So that was the important thing. Okay.
Yeah, I have questions about this move.
Well, yeah, just let's take it forward a few moves. And with this, at this point, white doesn't have enough room to make two eyes. So
okay.
Generally speaking, that's a problem.
we looked at this with the player, and, with the
The Serbian?
The Serbian. Yeah, we
Yes.
looked at this with the came in to show us this, and his takeaway when we looked at this and it had the AI shows there,
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Geez, I thought he was way ahead,
Right.
but he wasn't."
Not at this point, no.
Right.
No. Well, like the percentages, it's good for black, but the point score is not so, it's a close game. So like it's not a big deal. Black doesn't really have a lot. Let's take a look at the lower left corner. Black doesn't have a lot in the lower left corner. White played a very solid move here at e3. So if black plays here, white will have to allow black to connect underneath. It's actually something that black can try fairly early, because if white plays here and black gets to play like this is going to be a bit of a headache for white. And it's strictly, black might even start with the Atari. The Atari is another way to do it. Yeah. So it's not impossible to kill this, but the white group is not alive either. So this would be a different story, and it would be a bit of a headache for white. And it's quite likely that white will answer on this side, which is good Aji in the corner, and black does have a connection underneath. It's an idea that, my idea is that black probably wants to establish this. Black doesn't need to hurry to play this move because it's small. So it's small, but establishing the potential connection is something that I would like to do, because that's an eye for the black group on the outside. So an eye is really important. And so the territory, blacks may be gaining a bit of territory also if black gets to connect up later, but the potential eye there, that otherwise it's sort of difficult to make. So it's a good idea to ask white fairly quickly, as early as possible, whether white's going to cover here. That's something that I would do anyway. Okay, so this is reinforcing the Shimari here, which was sort of weak. So with this jump, it makes it so when white does stuff like this, it's relatively easy for black to make it difficult for white to live. So locally, it's not alive for white. And so it makes a big difference, that stone at R8, stopping white from living in the corner. White still has some stuff like this, for instance. There's some Aji there, but it's liable to make it difficult for the white group on the lower side. So to a great degree, black is defending the corner and putting just a little pressure on this side too. So that's why this looks like a good move. And white played here. So white didn't have enough room. White was thinking that cut at K17 would do something for him, but he doesn't have enough room. So not having enough room is a problem. And so I would say white had to start closer to the corner. And so white has various ways to attack the corner. So there's this one, there's, oops.
You want to just do like ABC?
I could do ABC. Okay, A, B, and C. So there's these three. And these are all important points in the corner. Sometimes you see the attachment. That's when you attach a D, you usually have a stone somewhere on the left. So if you have a stone at this point, then maybe you're going to play at D. And that's we're going to see that in a different game. So that's a completely different thing. So D doesn't really apply in this position. So let's get rid of it. It's either A, B, and C. So let's they're all feasible. So this one would be thinking of playing here, and white could probably play this way, and it's sort of similar to jumping into the 3-3 point when your opponent has a start point and a jump to the left. So it's the same shape, something like this. It's going to touch the white group on the. This is locally. It's very difficult for black to kill it because of this being a sort of a semi-forcing move. Also, black has to start with this, but as black sort of leans on this group on the side, it's going to affect the corner. So there are some problems associated with living this way. If white plays here, the idea is to play here, or to play here. And again, white's going to be heading towards the side. So either way, whether white plays 3 or 5, whichever order white plays, black can always get this variation. And white, again, is in a very tight area. So I'm going to say maybe white should have started from the other side. So this is the third option. And it moves into the corner. So I guess white would play here. And this is, so if white gets this one, it's a lot easier to live. If white gets this one, this is really, there are issues for black too. So even if white does something like this, this is a variation where maybe white's going to be able to sacrifice on a small scale and get some profit on the bottom side. So for instance, something like this. That would be okay. Yeah. And then white could play from the side. So yeah, white doesn't have to cut K17 anymore. So yeah, just my ideas, but basically it was A, B, or C would be more reasonable. In the game, white was just didn't have enough room. Black could have even pushed through and cut. So this is bad too. So white's not really. There's so many cutting points. It's
so many cutting points.
Yeah, so many cutting points. It's difficult for white.
Just a little technical thing here. When I was looking at this earlier, this extend here.
Yeah.
Is that?
Well, it's a good move. Extending here is kind of a shape move, but it's not forcing towards the left. So in this position, the fight in the center is really, really important.
Right,
so
right.
Black wants to get it as much speed as possible. So black plays here. He's threatening to cut at G16. So although it gives white good shape, and black seems to be sort of plastered against white stones,
right,
it does allow black to make a jump here. So that's important. I would have just continued in the center with something like this.
Oh, that's my move.
All right, great.
Yeah. That's what I had real questions about that.
Well, the thing is, at this point in the game, black knows that he's doing
ahead,
fairly
right?
well.
Yeah, he's ahead.
And he's starting to worry about the territory in the lower right corner.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's trying to be careful, but he should actually be careful about the center first. And
the other thing I was thinking
white has to answer that.
Right, because it's also threatening this, right?
And if black wants to play a move like this, is usually a sente move. So it was sort of crazy for white to ignore it anyway, but
does
black can do it later, or black can actually continue attacking with, for instance, something like this.
Right. Okay.
Which is what I would have done.
Right.
So if black can play 1 and have white play a knight's move at 2, that means that there's going to be a weakness that black can aim at over here. So that's why I'm doing stuff on that side.
L10 just kind of means that black really doesn't have to worry about.
There's still some stuff that stuff that can happen. So you want to put some pressure on white, and it's actually okay for black to continue playing moves in the center. There's something I can say about this. This group and this group, they're both sort of weak groups.
Yeah.
When you have weak groups like this and you're entering the late middle game or the end game, some players might be noticing this cut here. It's not very important because this is next to 2 strong black groups. But anything in the center, if black can turn this area into a territory, like it looks like it could turn into a 20-point territory. If we imagine a boundary line, something like this, it looks sort of like 5x4, right? If black can change these weak groups into territory, that's super efficient.
Yep.
So like when you play against stronger players, at this point in the game where the game is getting towards the late middle game and end game, you see them reinforcing these groups, and suddenly the weakest group on the board has something like 10, 20 points in the middle of the board. So you have to be aware of that from white's point of view. The thing is, in this fight, white's not going to have time to interfere,
right,
and black's probably going to succeed. So if black succeeds in making that center territory, he's going to win anyway. So white managed to confuse the matter a bit here by splitting the 2 black groups, it got into a rather confused fight. It's still difficult for white. So yeah, you can see white's falling apart here. And he lost that group on the top side. And it's just that black group there. White's having trouble attacking it. But you see, now the idea that I had of black playing this early, it's starting to get sort of relevant. Because,
Oh dear, yeah, it's enclosed.
Because now maybe white's going to try something different. So there's a problem there. And when you're ahead, you're really afraid to play moves like that. So anyway, okay, so white's trying the semi, black's winning by move. And white sort of has trouble finding a good way to stop black from moving out, breaking, like black can play an Atari here, so it's sort of awkward there. So that's why white's not continuing with that. White's trying to take away black's eye space. Black has one eye here in the center, and the other eye is a full size, even though black took 2 stones. So white's established this eye, so this stone cannot escape. But you can see black sort of struggling a little bit.
Black has kind of got himself in trouble now, right?
Well, not really.
No? Okay.
It turns out he's okay.
What about this Hane? There was a real question about whether this Hane...
I don't get the move. Right.
Okay, all right, all right.
Yeah, it was probably just... But when he plays here, it looks like he's okay. Because white has to answer it. But, you know, this is in... it's related to the fact that black had a forcing move here, and then can cut here. He didn't need that Hane at A8 to establish that. So even if he hadn't played that move, so I sort of see what he's thinking.
Got it.
But he had this forcing move anyway.
Even without
it
the
wasn't
Hane.
necessary.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, cool. I'm sure that's what he was thinking then.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was obviously a bad exchange. But when black is living here, he has enough room to make 2 eyes. And it didn't turn out to be too bad because he did get rid of some of white's territory.
Mm-hmm.
And black has 2 eyes after this. So it's L2 or H5. And although black won by resignation, the record that we have ends with white playing a move, which means that the record isn't complete. It's not a big deal.
I'm not gonna. It's not a big deal. It's
Yeah,
not a big deal.
it's clear that black is winning at this point.
We're still early day with some of our game recorders. Is all I'll say about that. All right, moving on. We're going to
game number 5.
Number 5 and game number 5.
And I'll start a review.
Is Brady from Canada, Brady Zhang from Canada, against Naisan Chan from Hong Kong.
Okay, I copied the
And
review.
just hang there for a second. We will swap out the game. There we go.
Okay. So who is this?
Brady Zhang from Canada.
Yes.
We're in Canada. Against Naisan Chung from Hong Kong.
From Hong Kong, yeah.
Brady is 7 dan, Naisan is 6 dan.
Yeah, but you can expect the Hong Kong player to be tough.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes the Don doesn't tell the whole story.
No, it does not.
Okay. So so black played away. Quite often you see black jumping out and then just not doing anything. It turns out that after black jumps out, black can be pretty flexible with this group and sometimes sacrifice it. So the jump here, it gives black 2 directions to play. If you do it right, you can actually sacrifice these stones and not have any problem. But that's really an AI kind of story, so I'm not going to go into it too much. Black played away. This is more old style, where black can still extend one direction or the other and have a living shape. So black played here and played here. So yeah, black could have done it this way. This is another almost joseki. If white plays here, black can jump out. Or if white plays on the other side, black can play here, and it's more like this. I'm not sure white's going to cover that cut. White might sort of play something on this side and just not bother with connecting at D6. It looks like white has a local advantage in the fight. So this would be a straightforward way of living. Jumping, attaching here is just getting, if white plays like this, black gets a much better territory. This is something looking more like 10 points. And there's still some maji of that cut, starting with d6. So this is probably better for black. It's the same sente for white, but the left side was going to be white's territory probably anyway. So black's actually reduced the size of that when we compare to that other diagram that I was showing you. So it's these two diagrams. In this one, white has more space, a bit less space, and black has a better corner. So that's what he's aiming at, and white wedges. And it's right for black to extend. So this would be the other move, but black would have to add another stone to the corner. This would be, it looks sort of like the Sansan Joseki, so this would be close to even also. But it's probably okay for black to extend. You just remember to capture the cutting stone. White's going to cut one side or the other. If white cuts here, black captures this side. Turns out this corner is already alive, so you just get to extend a few times. Looks like black can connect up to the stone.
What a few times.
This is alive, so the white can't kill the corner.
Right.
So white obviously doesn't do that. So in this case, the corner is not alive. So this would be a different story, and white would actually, in this case, with the stone on the third line, white might actually connect up because black will eventually need a move here to live in the corner. So black would have to do that. If this happens, then everything is getting attacked.
Oh dear.
You might see black sacrificing that, but it's not clear.
Where's that wall going, though?
Yeah, black eventually has to save that corner anyway. Excuse me, I went back a bit too far. So yeah, otherwise the test strategy is to play here, and this would still be an acceptable result for white. This would obviously be bad for black, and would be like this. And still later on white has this thing, which is going to be annoying. Black will eventually have to capture that stone at A7. Okay, back to the game. So it's correct for black to capture the cutting stone. And yeah, so he thinks he's strong and he's starting a fight. So it's okay to start this fight, but this black group where black has captured a stone, it's not really as strong as you might think. In fact, this is the group that died. And the reason is because the white group behind it is rock solid. So because of that, you don't say that this black group is strong. So black has to be aware of that. So starting the fight is okay, but black has to be ready to find a good point to deal with that. And I'm going to have it for you. Actually, the computer didn't really like black moving out. I think it wants black to live as soon as possible, but we'll ignore that part. And here was an opportunity for white. Black has played what looks like a forcing move, but white can answer that indirectly by playing here. So this is something that's very useful.
Nice move.
Just surrounding black in the center. So this is better than playing here because playing here sets up a double peep. With this way, black doesn't get to do that double peep thing. And there's nothing much happening on this side anyway. So like if black is too annoying here, white might just ignore it, but if white answers here, black hasn't gained anything anymore. So turns out black has to eventually play here and something like this. And this is a much more efficient way for white to answer that threat. So now white's connected up, everything's connected up, and white has a wall towards the center. So this would be very efficient. Answering directly like this was not so efficient. And black played here. And black's score dropped with this move. So it seems such an obvious move, but black's score dropped. So this is where, like, if you're aware that this group was actually not so strong, and this white group is rock solid, then that knowledge would help you think twice at this point and realize that it's super important to get two eyes. And it's a free two eye thing because white has to answer here, and these two stones here, they've already done their job. Like you've already used these two stones out, so you don't have to save them even. So black could switch maybe to this side, and this is like you just by sort of shape, you tend to think that this is a big move.
Well,
it's an irrelevant move once black is alive.
I think the thought, and you always sort of get out first or
Right.
second.
Yeah.
So that's but this makes much more sense.
The whole thing is changed by the fact that this white group
it.
is so strong.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And also, black's group on the other side is weak too. So like this, jumping out here or extending here, this comes after black has strengthened the group on the other side, and then black can attack white. So this was a point in the game where black was still okay. He's playing against one of the top players. So Hong Kong is, we didn't mention him yesterday, but after China, Korea, Japan, and Taipei, pretty soon you get to Hong Kong.
Oh yeah.
So he's one of the players who
Always.
has a chance to be in the top
Always.
players. So he's really tough, but actually up to this point, black is doing fairly well. So if he had played the one
You're foreshadowing that things are about to change.
it's going to get bad.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay, so white found this, and this is really big. So this is a point where the computer analysis that I was seeing here, the score jumped up for white.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big difference. So this is a good move because it's starting to make eyes for white with a kind of a semi-forcing move here. White can play another stone there, and you get, let's put some white stones down here. So if you get a shape like this, it looks like it's 8 points, and you're going to get a 5-point living shape, or maybe 6 points if you're lucky. But like, this is the 2x4 shape that you should look for if you're not so strong on calculation, and you want to know if the group is going to be alive. You look for a shape like this. If it's 2x4, you generally have room for eyes. Okay, so black jumped out. And you can see now white is defending the top side is important. So not only is white starting to build on the top side, but white is putting pressure on that black group on the left side. Okay, yeah. I'm not going to comment on these moves. They're locally all good moves. Okay. You know, when you look at the computer analysis, even these locally good moves, the score goes up and down a bit.
Yeah.
It's not really that important. Okay, so the idea here is that white knows that he has this very strong group in the lower left corner. So he's thinking of doing something like this to reinforce white's group there. So white's going to get some strength towards the center, after which white is going to return to this attack. Because this black group, it has a potential eye in the top left corner, and some space here which is sort of ambiguous. It's not really a black eye yet, and so it's not a lie. So if white can make this group on the left strong, then white can start attacking that group. So he's preparing. So it was also an asking which side black is going to answer. So when black answers on this side, this is reducing black's exit space. So it's making the black group there a bit cramped. So if we compare this way of playing to this way of playing, white's position there on the side, this position here is still one space jumps, makes it a bit shaky. Mm-hmm. So it's more dangerous. At the very least, black has all these points where he can play peeps, right? And that makes a difference to the black group on the other side. So by playing here, white's asking if white can get a strong group like this, and you might notice black has no peeps, right? So white can start doing nasty stuff like this. Or if black plays this way, this was the game variation. Now white has a much more solid connection out, which makes it more difficult for black to do stuff with that group on the other side. And also this stone, having this stone here, it's going to get in the way when black has to move out. Okay, yeah. So it's starting to look very dangerous for black. It's starting to look very dangerous for black. Yeah. Okay, and it's starting to look very dangerous, and it's starting to look dead. So yeah. So that sort of happened. Yeah. Okay, it's dead.
Oh, dead.
And,
so dead.
So with these tough players, things happen so suddenly. It's dead. Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, it didn't have eyes to start with. So if you get surrounded,
It had one eye.
Dead. So you can see
One eye.
It's just an example of how troublesome it was when white got these stones on this side, they're sort of in the way. So at this point, black had options that would have lived. So
Like just the
black could do
Kasumi
stuff
or
like
the
this,
attach.
yeah. And it's not going to die.
It's not great, but at least it's not going to die.
Somewhere along the way, black's going to have a peep here that's going to force white to save the 2 stones.
Yeah.
And black's going to make some eyes. And white's going to be happy enough because this group is rock solid. So white's going to be curling around from this side and allowing black to make a life here because white doesn't have to worry about the group corner. So that's white's game plan. And because you see that game plan, the black player, there's no way he's not going to notice that. And he's trying to make it a bit more difficult, but in the process, the whole group died. So that's what happened. It's dead. It's pretty amazing how quickly that group died.
So
that's
after this is like, I don't know.
Nothing happening there.
I'm just saying this is.
It's dead.
I'm kind of counting.
How else can we say it?
No, I'm talking about the points.
The points, in a game like this, you don't even have to count.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So how is it? I mean, then black didn't get anything out of it.
Obviously, a miscalculation. But you see, it started. I think like finding a better course of play in the fight here is not easy.
Yeah.
Going back to this point, it's super important. I'm going to go back to the point where black had a way to live. Not only is it super important, but it's a move that anyone can play.
Yeah.
All you have to do is,
Yeah.
all that has to happen is that you have to realize that actually, because of the status of this white group, this black group is really very weak. And this is an opportunity for black to finish off the process of surviving there with Sente.
And just go on.
Because black has issues on the other side too. So the reason I'm starting with something that looks aggressive here is because sometimes black can do this and use 5 as a sacrifice stone to get a living shape in the corner. So that's so 3 is not only sort of taking the top side, but it's also, in a way, it's acting as a defensive move there. If white does stuff like this, white's alive in the corner, but then black gets to link up on that side. Maybe this way.
Wow.
So this would take care of all black's troubles, and if black got strong in this area, then black could start thinking about playing moves like, for instance, something like this.
So, attacking.
And maybe black doesn't want to attack from that side anyway, because it's the right side of the board that black is going to be focusing on, and no one's looking at the bottom side. That's the bottom line here. Is probably the most important thing I can say about this game. Is no one's interested in making territory on the bottom side until all of the other areas are finished. Okay, let's move on.
So just a couple of housekeeping things, folks. Obviously, Michael Redmond is analyzing. These are round 3 games. And we just looked at, because folks were asking, this was Canada versus Hong Kong. Did I get that right?
I think you got it right.
Okay, Canada versus Hong Kong. What I'm going to do, we're going to do one more game. We're going to take a very quick break, just like a 2-minute bathroom, stretch our legs break. Also gives us a break for the video for later. But what I'll do is that when Michael starts the next commentary, because I'm realizing that we don't have any type up there to tell you what the game is as we're going through it, so if people come in while we're doing they don't know. So I will actually put in the chat what the game is so folks will know.
That's a good idea.
That was actually somebody else's idea. So thank you for whoever put that in there. So, all right, coming up on game 3, which will be... No, game 4.
Game 4,
my bad. Game 4. Oh, game 4, U.S. versus Korea.
Yeah.
So let me put that. Actually, while he's doing that, I'll put that in the chat. Next up, U.S. versus Korea.
Okay. The link is copied.
Is it okay? I'm ready to change.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Changing the game. Okay.
That looks good.
Also, two things. Hopefully, the sound is okay. We are in the game review / broadcast room, so you may be picking up some background because the room fills up after each round with players who are going over their games. But I think with our good microphone and the fix, we should be okay. But if you're having issues, if we're too loud, if we're too quiet, if we're whatever, let us know.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so this is
America
US.
is black. America is black.
U.S. is black, yes. Alan Hwang from the U.S., Sa-woo Kim
Korea.
from Korea. For what it's worth, Alan 7 down, Korea 5 down. But as Michael's pointing out, 5 down Korean is...
Well, yeah. So, like young Korean players who won amateur tournaments, they're players who are sort of hoping that they can win a big tournament. In Korea, sometimes that lets you become a pro. So they're at that level, and the rank doesn't mean anything, basically.
No, we know this because a team of them came to the U.S. Go Congress last year and took all our prizes.
Of course, yeah.
Didn't even say, no, they said thank you. They did say
Yeah, they said thank you.
of course.
Did they say thank you before taking the prizes because they knew they would, or did they say Okay. Okay, we had white playing.
They were a team. They really were a team, by the way. I think they might have had like matching, team jackets and stuff that.
Yeah.
And they got together before every round. We were quite intimidated.
Okay, white played this tomorrow. Not a big deal. Computers like you if you play this pressing move. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we talked about this.
We just did talk about
the
this.
Previous game or the game before?
Yeah, and you were saying that this is playable when there's a white stone
when
over there.
When there's a white stone. So
yeah.
this is a kind of combination with this stone and this stone, where you wouldn't be satisfied if you were just sort of sliding in like this. It would be a bit too passive, not taking away too much black territory. Maybe making one eye, but one eye doesn't make two eyes, so it's not good enough sometimes.
Let me write that down. This is high-level stuff we're talking about here.
And so we didn't always, before AIs, we didn't really have much experience with this Shimari anyway.
Yeah.
And people with black had struggled to make it work.
Yeah.
And so this was very much a computer move. You see a lot of it in the AlphaGo games. And if black plays here, white's... it depends on the ladder. So white can actually play here sometimes because the ladder here has to favor white. It looks like it favors white here. Or white can go down and you get a variation of this. So the idea is that white's going to be connecting up to that stone on the side and making a living shape. So something like this happens. In the game, black played a hane on the side. So these are the two hanes you can see. If you don't want to mix it up, you can always play here, but this tends to revert to this one. Yeah. So it's probably, in this case, when white has a stone here, white does want to sort of link up to that stone, so white's going to play 2, and it's going to revert to this variation, where white's going to play here. There's a cut on the third line, maybe here, something like this. Black's going to play here anyway, so black could play at 5 on the fourth line. That's a bit stronger towards the outside, because sometimes black does want to save this stone, so that's why I'm playing at 5 here, instead of the hangman connection. Okay, so that's something that could have been played, just because black does get this nice shape on the side here. This is something that I would consider, but black played the hane underneath. Okay, so when black plays here, white's going to play here. This is where that stone on the side becomes really important, because white's linked up. And if white gets to play here, the group in the corner gets into trouble. So black has to add a stone here. And this is sort of like a joseki. Okay. Sort of like a joseki.
Wait. So just historical point here, right?
Yeah.
Because I know you've been really doing a lot of reading in history and the old games and so forth. So josekis are obviously these patterns that are tried and tested over time. So does this mean that this is something that is... people are working on? Where are we at with this one?
It's an established, up to this point, I'd say it's an established sequence that It hasn't really had time to get into the Joseki books.
Okay.
But strong players know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I would have expected something more like this, but I guess came as okay. It's a bit looser. And white got, this is an important point. Black's group in the corner is pretty much alive, so black's going to focus on moving out in the center. And yeah, so having played the peep from the top, this sets up for white to play this move, which would be it would be very very good shape for white, so black doesn't want that to happen, so that's why he's playing here. So that's why white was playing that peep anyway. White wanted to do that. Okay. So yeah, so white's...
Wait, there's a question here. When is S5 better than R6?
Yeah.
Thank you. Good question. We'll take a look at that.
Okay. Well, it's sort of hard to say. If white plays at R6, black's going to extend here. For the time being, white can't attack the corner. Basically because there's this weakness here. So it's not it's not working for white. So if white plays here, then black's going to play something like this. Maybe white's just going to play here, in which case black can sometimes play here, or black can just jump out. So this is a fight too. I think I see it more often when this black stone here is one line closer. But it's a subtle difference. So I might just say I don't know.
Okay. All right. There's good question. There's your answer.
So yeah, locally this is putting more pressure on black's corner group. So it's forcing this move. It gave white time. Keeping the flow here, white needs some speed because white has two weak groups to do it. So white's trying to keep the speed. That, in a way, that sort of works with this. There is some weakness with white's connection, which we're going to see now. Black started with this move here, setting up this move. So if white pushes through and cuts, black wins the semi. So that's what black is doing with that. The placement on the second line. Okay, so he shouldn't have played that move. He's already gained something there. Maybe he should play something in the center. Or he could play something like this. I think black has to be a bit more active here. It's not a fun move for white to play anyway, because black already gets the squeeze. Black would rather, since black group is outside, black wants to do something a bit more active. So this was a bit slow. And white actually starts to attack. So this white group is pretty weak. And the whole idea is that if white can put some pressure on black's group on the left while improving this group, then that makes it efficient for white. The drawback of the whole sequence here is that this group here is not, now it's alive. Okay, so white played a key point there, and the whole thing is, that was even. Okay, so this is an interesting point, where black played an Atari. He probably should have gone down. So this would have captured the three stones.
It's pretty big.
White will play here. And black can actually connect to the corner. Might be wiser to play here.
Really?
It's a subtle difference. So black can connect to the corner. There's some difference on the left here. So like for instance in this variation, so it's like this, it's like this. White's probably going to throw it again. So something like this. Black's connected to the corner, but has to be careful with moves. So if we accept the fact that black's going to lose some territory there, black didn't really gain a lot. So stuff like, I'm probably going into too much detail, but the story changes if black plays on the side. Then that bad stuff on the left doesn't happen. But instead he played the ko. So he played the ko here, and white has a ko threat. So white got to win the ko. So black got a lot of territory out of that, but that black group on the left is very, very weak. So I don't like this so much. And black didn't really get an opportunity to attack the white group as a whole. So black got the 4 stones here, but it was just the territory. So that was something like 15 points. It was less than 20 points. And it's not connecting to an attack. While this black group is going to be weak for the rest of the game. So that's why I don't like the quality he played. Yeah. So here I was watching the game. I don't see why black didn't play here. So I think he lost a move here. If black plays here, so at some point black's going to link up here, and this will be threatening to capture 3 white stones, right? So this is going to be when black needs to save this group. He can play at 5, and there's some extra territory involved. So next thing you think about is what if white plays down here? Isn't that Sente?
Yeah.
Now black can play here. White doesn't have time to connect, right? So white has to play here. So black gets to cover at 1 with Sente. In the game, we just look at what happened in the game. Black played here first. And white does some stuff, but ultimately the difference is that at some point white gets to curl around here, and it makes a lot of bad aji. And then like this. So just locally, this is the sequence that happened in the game. And white got Sente because then black had to come down. So white got to save these with Sente, and black was not connected to anything. When black plays here, black is going to connect with some extra territory, or white is going to have to use a move to cut that off. So there's a 1 move difference. So I don't see why he didn't cover here. So it's about here that this game starts to look difficult for black. This is a Tetsuji that white can play. If black pulls up, white's trying to make some ice space here. So that's what he's trying to do. So black's trying to break up the ice space, and white plays here. So white got some extra forcing moves. Actually, it was better for black to play here. And so white cannot capture that black group. This way black wins, right? So after white defends here, black can play a move like this. So this would be a better way to take away white's ice space. In the game, white's not really dead there on the side because it's difficult to kill the white group. So black played here, but if black had answered here, white would have had this forcing move. White would have had an eye on the side. White would have a potential eye here, and already have an eye here. So, and the black group is not strong. So it's difficult to say who's attacking at this point.
Right.
So the 1 move difference when white got the kick here and black had to play 2 sort of slow moves there, that made a big difference. And so now the game is starting to look good for white. Black did get that whole territory, but it's white got something on the top side. That top side area is pretty important. There was still some excitement in the game. So at this point, black is trying to kill white's group on the right side. This was a sort of slow move, but it wasn't slow enough to lose the game for white. So if black had played here, this would have cut white off in the center. If black plays here then, the thing is, black's position here is sort of flaky. So black if black plays here, white can push through here. And none of these Ataris are going to help black.
No,
so
they're really not,
it's not good
they?
enough. So black has to take off those 4 stones. Otherwise, if black answers on this side, white can still play here. And the whole black group, it doesn't have very many dominants. It's short on
liberties. It has no
liberties.
eyes.
Right. So black can't do that. And so the move that black wants to play is this one.
I was just trying to figure that one out.
White's going to connect. So white can connect up like this.
But can't.
Black can get half of the
tail.
group. But there's still
Not
issues.
enough?
There's still issues with this move, you see.
Oh, that's a problem.
There's going to be issues. Well, this is going to finish the game, but there's going to be issues with white K12 also. So the whole black group is weak, and black doesn't have time to do that. But black's going to get something out. One might have been slightly better than the game, but it's still difficult for black. So in the game, black saw that problem, and he wanted to cut white off with this move. so he played here. So just going back to White's move, White's score did go down with this, and my explanation of that is that White should have played here, and this would have been a much more active way of doing the same thing. So like in this case, White's going to get to this point anyway, and the other side is that it's a better shape for White. So this would have been slightly better. So this would have been a more active way of linking up to the center. So like, for instance, it would be more like this, and it would still be putting a lot of pressure on Black on the left side of the board. So still Black doesn't have time to take the right side. So that was probably better, but this was still good enough for White. So this was the game sequence where Black got some profit on the left side, but White's going to keep the top side territory, and White has the lead. So that he ran away with this. Basically, Black's mistakes were, the important ones were in the fight here. So going back to that, Black was doing fairly well up to this point. Even this was okay. But at the moment White lived here, Black had to find something more active. So I would suggest this move, but that's my idea. So the players should probably look to an AI to see what the AI says about this move. But the game move was definitely a bit slow. And then the other move that I felt strongly about was maybe the ko was bad. Yeah, it didn't really work very well. And then this move where Black should have started.
That's it's a great point because it's so subtle and yet it just solves so many problems for Black, right?
Well, he's still going to try to live on the side. It's not clear that this is. It's probably starting to be a difficult game for Black, but this would have made it a lot closer, a lot more difficult for White.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, so that was U.S. Korea. We're going to take like a quick 2-minute break, so I'm going to do two things. We'll set up for the next round. The next round will be, just to preview it, I think the next round is New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken.
New Zealand
versus Singapore. So we'll be back with New Zealand versus Singapore.
Oh yeah, Singapore.
So I'm going to leave this one up here, but I am going to mute the mic for a second. So give us 2 minutes. You're over there. 2 minutes. We'll be right back so y'all can get your beverage or whatever. Okay, hang in there. All right, and we are back after our union-mandated break.
Okay, yeah.
All right, three to go from round 3. I like
Okay,
that.
okay, good.
So this is 2 minutes, and I've already forgotten.
New Zealand. New Zealand.
Versus.
And, let's see, this guy's Singapore.
Is it Singapore? Yeah, I think you're right. So I'll do. Oh my goodness! All right, I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna just. You could look it up, but Shaheen Soyan Kurpen Kolijan. I'll have to find out what his nickname is. Versus Yucheng Lai. Shaheen is 5 dan. Yucheng is 7 dan. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is board 3. And just a note before we start. So the games that we stream on PandaNet are selected by the tournament director.
Yeah.
We're trying to get sort of a range of the different players who are playing, but balanced with some of the folks who are in the contention in the top. So that's so if you're watching on PandaNet and wondering, why are these games being streamed? That's what we're.
Yeah. Hopefully, we get to show every player in the tournament in the end, or close to that.
Yeah, there are 52 players, 26 games. So
maybe we don't get there.
Yeah, we may not get there. Not real good with math, but I don't think it's in our favor. But we're going to try. We are definitely going to try. So let me.
You're going to put names up?
Nope. Oh. But I will try and fix that for tomorrow. I have an idea about how to do that for tomorrow. Okay. So, but yes, I am going to put the names up. New Zealand.
And New Zealand has the Blackstones?
New Zealand has black. New Zealand, Singapore. New Zealand, Singapore. Alrighty, what is happening in this game?
Excuse me. Alright, so Black's knight move there is a bit unusual. Sometimes you see Black playing on knight's move to the other direction. This is actually a move that is pretty popular. Mm-hmm. It's surprisingly good with computer scores. So it's something you see a lot of the young players play. Shinjinso played this a number of times. So it's one of the openings that people are researching a lot. Of course, traditionally you'd think you'd play some kind of a shimari from the 3-4 point, but you just know that your opponent's going to play the 3-3 invasion. And there's a lot of research of this opening also. It's even enough, but people get to play the same game a number of times. They get tired of it, so that's why you see moves like this sometimes. So this is a bit unusual. It's not a big deal. Okay. And they're playing, it's interesting. Sort of computer style. Pinching here when Black has played a shoulder hit, this is something that people do. So it's an interesting move. It's going to be trying to attack Black on a large scale while reducing Black's potential on the right. Okay. Okay, up to this point, I don't like this move, and I think the computer will agree with me. It's just giving White better shape. Later on, when White plays that move at 0-17, there's an issue with this thing in the corner. So all White needs is one close red, and White can sort of get an extra eye there. So it's not good shape. So Black should just play the peep, and this would be a worthy move. Black doesn't necessarily have to play it, but it makes a big difference to the value of the corner area, and the right side, and the eyes of the White group as a whole. So it's equivalent in that way. It's just as good as reinforcing Black's group. Black's group is not in trouble yet, so playing at 3 is what I would do. So this is just, it gives White a better position. We had a game yesterday where I was saying you can't play both peaks. So if Black plays this way, white's going to do something on this side, it's not going to work very well. So you only get one of those two peeps, and that's another reason why this is bad, because it's actually, this peep is maybe the more important one, and black wants to do that.
Right.
So that's pretty important. When you're playing these top players, well, the New Zealand players, he's been to this tournament before. He's one of the strong players. He's strong, but he's playing against a very tough Asian player. Against these players, just one minor mistake like this can make it difficult fairly quickly. So when white caps here, this is tactically, it's already a very complicated, difficult position to play the good moves. Black plays here and here. This is actually kind of a Tesuji sequence where if black plays here first and then plays here, white's going to play here for the time being. Also, even when white does something like this, it becomes more difficult for... It's a better combination for black to play it this way, when in this case, this would still be a forcing move threatening to connect up at E19, and black would still have a lot of aji in the corner. So with stuff like this and stuff like this, there would still be a lot of aji with that forcing move at G17. So it's a Tesuji combination. It's good shape. And black's starting to make eye space here. Okay, so white's keeping the pressure on. And black, yeah. So yeah, it's not working very well. Black probably had to play here. So if white plays here and black plays here, black's going to slide into the side, and the corner is not alive. White's corner is not alive yet, so this is feasible for black. If I tried to figure out what happens next, it would be very complicated. So I'm going to stop here.
Thank you.
Maybe white's going to extend, but then black would be able to break out a little bit more. So this would probably be a feasible variation. Black does have an eye on the top there, so it's not likely that the whole thing is going to die, but you do have to be careful.
Well, let me just ask this. It's not likely to die, but what's it accomplishing?
Well, while surviving, black does want to pose some challenges to white. So that's why I'm showing a variation like this, which is more challenging. So if white ends up doing something like this, black's going to get a relatively efficient way to live with some weaknesses. So in points with this, when black moves with this stone here, it's going to be more threatening. Or if black ends up invading the territory just as a peep. There's all these weaknesses that black can make use of later in the game. So black has to be, black has to live obviously, but black has to be active about it in order to stay in the game. So the whole thing is that black managed to live here, but it was a bit painful. The whole thing was a bit painful because white has dealt with the corner fairly well. White's getting some solid territory out of it. So this area is starting to look like it's going to be a white territory. This group, it already has a base here, which is pretty close to 2 eyes. So black doesn't have anything to attack.
Well, I guess that was my feeling there, was that white has made profit by attacking black.
Right.
And so black has lived. I think you talked about this yesterday about, that living is...
Well, there was no wasted move per se, so it's a different story. But it was a case where black had to find a good way to live. Yeah. So another option would be, for instance, black could have tried to go after this stone. That's another option.
I feel like I want black to do something solid, something.
Yeah.
More.
This would have been a way to play. I was sort of half expecting this.
Yeah, that's pretty elegant. It just lives.
The game move is a nice Tesuji also, but black has to follow up with more active moves. So that's where that wasn't relevant. Sorry. That's where I get into the variations like this or like this, where black is being more active. And so while black has to be active, it's also dangerous. So this was kind of a key point in the game where black had to work it out and find the best sequence. And it wasn't going to be easy, but if black can live in an elegant manner, it would still be an even game, or close to an even game. In the game, it was a bit the way it lived was not so efficient, and white was getting a lot out of it. So this is just trying to find a way to finish off the black stone. So black can live by playing here and here, but you see all of these forcing moves mean that it's going to be the corner is going to be white's territory, right? So that's the idea that white has. So that's why this was a good move. If white had played here, there would have been a lot more room for black to do stuff in the corner. So it's a better move to play the Kosumi here. He's showing that he's a good player by playing it. Okay, so white's not sure whether he wants to play this move or not. So white could play here and still be making a threat against black, but he's probably worried that moves like this. So like if black plays here, then he has a potential eye in the center. So white doesn't want to be too tenacious and lose sente here. There's potential for black to take sente if white is careless. So white can avoid that by playing a move like this, which would take away more of black's eyes, but then white would not have two eyes on the top side. So white's going to wait for a while. If eyes become an issue, he's going to play this move and then just add a stone. So when he wants to add a stone to the white group, he's going to do it with this move, and then moves like because locally the black moves like this or this, they're strengthening white, right? So white's going to do it this way when he feels that he has to protect the group. Otherwise, if stuff happens in the center and the whole group gets really strong, maybe white's going to play with this. Then this would be more difficult for black to. In this case, black doesn't get two eyes. Black doesn't get an eye here so easily. It's more difficult to get. So if we assume that the white group gets strong in some way, then one would be a more forceful way. Eventually, white would force black to do stuff like this. So eventually that's going to be the idea. But white wants to wait. So if he gets vulnerable, if he's worried about the group, sometimes he's going to do it this way. So that's why white sort of stopped that attack midstream. And white's making sabaki on this side. It's just a difficult, so there you see. So now white is taking away the eye. Again, if white had played this move like this. Oh, he could have played that. He still could have played that. Now, in this case, it would have been okay to play that. Black doesn't have that extra eye. So maybe he should have done it that way. Okay, but he's established that corner territory. Black is in trouble as far as territory is concerned. Okay, so black tries the peep, white tries to play a forcing move here. Obviously, black would like to be able to surround the whole thing, right? So that's what black is trying to do. White is trying to make it a bit more difficult for black to surround. So this way white would have an escape, right? Because white's got a lot on the left side. All white has to do here is survive. That's what white's trying to do. So black cut. White plays the net. So this is a net, but black can break out. And black can break out this way too, but he didn't do it. So he tried for something. This could have been. It seems that it was good for black. Sorry about that. That was a misclick. He played here. So he started a ko. The problem with this is that white has some ko threats. So let's take another look at this move. Black can break out if white plays the squeeze. White has two weak groups to deal with. So maybe white's just going to extend here. Black's going to take. White's going to play here, here. This is going to be a wild fight.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow, wow. Oof.
But when white has this potential eye here, it's going to take one extra move to. So like, black needs to surround it, and it's still not dead. So the fight's going to switch to the bottom side, but black needs one more move to kill that white group. So white wouldn't even answer that. White wouldn't even answer that, and it takes a lot more. It takes more moves to kill the white group on the right. So white would be able to attack on the bottom side in this variation. So black played the Atari. So like it's understandable that he would, if white had answered here, it would be a completely different story in which the right side would die quickly. Yeah. So you can understand why he wanted to play that. And it's a bad this variation was probably bad for black and white, where like the bottom side becomes more important than the right side in this variation. So yeah, but white has the kotre, so that it's not working really. Yeah, so black didn't have any good kotrets, and it would have been a failure if he had lost the ko. He wins the ko, but the whole top side is now white's territory. So yeah, it's bad. The game is pretty much over at this point.
So he had to swap the group.
Right. And, well, this is the final position, and black managed to cut white off here, but there's a weakness with a peep here, and so black has to start by saving that, but actually the whole black group in the center it's in trouble. So white's going to attack the whole black group. So for instance, let's say, where does black play? Say black plays something like this. White has various ways to punish this group. So for instance, white could play something like this. This would be a simple way to cut it off.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, okay,
Or
all right.
white could do this. And this would also work. Yeah, so white's going to win the semi. White has enough liberties to win the semi. So he resigned.
Wow, so interesting.
So like it wasn't like after a certain point, it just became extremely difficult for black to find a good combination, and so it goes back by stages. In this fight on top, black had to find a more active way to live. So basically, going back to this one. So and then going back further, it really made the fact that he played tenuki so much, it made it challenging, and that's where he messed up. So maybe we'd go back to this point. At this point, black still, there's nothing wrong with the game, so he could play here and here. And then I would suggest to be playing more stones. So like, say white plays some similar move, black could play more stones relative to this group, and then it would be fine, right? So the exchange of this stone for this stone, it just put pressure on black because maybe black had the feeling he wasn't doing so well, and it is a significant difference. Better not to have these two stones.
Such an interesting move. It's such a simple move that probably seemed like a good idea at the time, and it just winds up causing so many problems. And it's like the other one you were just showing. Just live.
Well, so many times black has a different way to do stuff. So like sometimes black's gonna do something like this. This would also be a way that black could attack the white group sometimes. Or maybe black's going to do something from the center and just not bother with
But
that.
not once you induce that other move.
Yeah, so it's not the right move to choose in the local situation.
All right, 4 down, 2 to go, and while Michael's getting that, I will tell you we're coming up to Japan and Singapore.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I misspoke on that last one.
Not Singapore.
The last one was not Singapore.
Oh,
That
sorry
last
about
one, No, that was me.
Oh.
That last one was Taiwan. So this is Japan and Singapore.
Yeah, so this was actually an exciting game.
Okay, got that one. All right.
Yeah.
Copied?
Oh, sorry, I didn't copy.
Yep. Okay. Oh my goodness.
So this looks messy, right?
It looks
Let's just take a look at this finishing
Wow.
position.
Wow.
The whole board is covered with stones.
It is.
Black has just played this co-threat on the bottom side. So the bottom side is white's territory, and black has played a co-threat. So I'm talking about this area. Black has played a ko threat here, and the ko is on the right side here. It's a ko that has to do with the life or death of that white
Yes,
group.
it does.
And so white resigned at this point. So
Let's see.
a lot of stuff was happening in a fight in the center. So that was the exciting part of the game. So here we go. So actually, so who's the opponent?
Yeah, let me do my customary mangling of the names.
We're mangling the names.
Minoru.
Yeah,
Ozeki.
ours are tricky.
From Minoru
Yeah.
from Japan, 7 Dan.
Minoru is his given name, and Ozeki is his family name.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Shaofan Shu. Does that look right?
Now that's a
Shaofan.
Chinese name,
So
I think.
Zhou.
Shu. I'm not so sure. Yeah. Chinese names are difficult too. Yeah.
I do want to
Xiaofan
say.
sounds right.
I do want to say something about Minoru because we are here in Vancouver and across the street from the
Hotel.
Vancouver Executive something. I don't know. Anyway, the hotel.
Executive Vancouver Airport Hotel.
I know all those words are in there.
Right, yeah. Something like that.
Anyway, there's a gorgeous park across the street. We go for a walk. If we're lucky, we go for 3 walks a day, but usually at least a couple. And it is called...
Minoru Park.
It is.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with this gentleman.
Nope.
But you looked it up,
Yeah.
and it because we were thinking that somebody named Minoru must have given a bunch of money, but it turns out it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with, and you guys would never guess, unless you're real quick at looking things up,
It was a horse.
a horse.
It was a award-winning racehorse.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they had horse races here in Vancouver, and then there was also an airport that was involved, which I don't remember.
There
how
was
that,
an airport. Yeah. There
yeah.
Was, yeah.
Horse racing and airports. Right now, there are. I'm not too proud to say we went for our early morning walk, which was very wet and rainy because
It's raining here.
it is raining here a lot, which is messing up my pickleball opportunities. But there are a lot of geese in this park, and our walk this morning was redirected several times
Yeah, by the
because
geese, yeah,
we were not going
we're-
to tangle with the geese.
Yeah, they had
the,
chicks.
The bunnies I wouldn't mind. I could take the bunnies, but so there's your local color.
Okay.
All right, so this is board 2, Japan, Singapore.
Okay, a very unusual shape here with the 2-space jump. I haven't seen this move very much.
Okay.
And white jump. So white's jumping, moving towards the right side, and at some point white is thinking of attacking one of these 2 points. White can cut off the 2 black stones. He didn't jump at it. He's going to leave it for later. So, and white plays. So this move, black is making miai of trying to surround an area on this side, or playing towards the corner. So if white does something like, let's say white plays something like this, black's going to play in a kokari. So he's making miai of the left and the right. And so when white plays down at R3, white is still looking at moves like this or moves like this. So white's looking at that weakness in black's shape. It was an indirect, like usually you would expect white to connect here, but then that weakness would not be there. Yeah, so this is a more active move. And white's trying to win the semi-eye here. Okay, so white's won the semi-eye.
So interesting.
But
So the
there's
thing we saw
something
at
that
the
can
end
happen.
is already set up at the very beginning.
Right.
Interesting.
But this took some changes. So at the point, white's winning this semi-eye. But after black reinforces, it's not so clear cut. So white played away. And black cuts here. So here black is trying to change the status of the semi-eye. So by playing an Atari here and playing here, turns out black is now winning the semi-eye.
Oh my magic! It's a magic
It's
trick.
magic, yeah. So what happens here is white can play here,
Yeah.
and at some point black has to play the hane here. So this hane here is going to extend black's liberties. White can win the semi, throwing in here. If black takes, white can play here. So that wins the semi. Let's just put this one in to make the things simple. So you end up with a shape like this, where white has no pushing move. So the fact that white can't play here because of Dame's Murray, it makes the semi.
These are one of my favorite life and death problems, where the answer is to create it so that it's exactly this situation. You can't play from either side.
Right. So that's what black was doing with all the stones he played from this side. He was extending his liberties. And so it was not just the hane here, but the extra liberty that he gets when he plays a hane here. But there's some bad aji, which is going to come into play. So later in the game,
Like
it's going to turn
400 moves.
It's going to turn into white's territory anyway. Yeah. Okay, so they're back to opening points. So when black is moving out like this, the alternative would be to make a living shape in the corner, which would also be a reasonable move. But he's saying that actually, I don't know why he doesn't play this move. This would have been perfectly reasonable, but he wanted to move out apparently. Okay, so white takes the side. Okay, so here black doesn't have a cut here, but black can. This is actually a shape you see a lot. You see it a lot in actually historic games too. So black can escape out into the center. And eventually black can play here, which is going to, in some cases, black gets to capture these two stones. But black leaves it at this point, and starts something in the corner. So this is where the game gets exciting, because this is going to change the status of this thing. So it could be that black got into a bit of trouble here. It's like this, and white gets to, so black has just added the stone to the corner to make a living shape. Let's see. If black had played here, this just occurred to me right now.
Yeah, I saw you. You had a little cock of the head.
Yeah. If black had played here, the corner would have been alive, and the side would still be a win for black.
That would be good, right?
This would have been better.
Yeah.
Just like sort of on the spur of the moment, I thought of it. So I haven't actually.
You all can read. You all can read that out. He's not going to show you. Just.
Let's make it easy.
All right.
So the order of 3 and 5 should be backwards. But anyway, what black can play here? And black has enough room to live anyway.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. But you all read that out.
Yeah, that's obvious, isn't it? So yeah. And now white played here. It could be that he underestimated the value of white winning the semi here, because white's group on the left is sort of weak. So maybe he thought that the attack would be good enough. But now that I look at it, it's clear that it would have been better to have both, right? So by making an eye here, white wins the semi. So now the inside liberties belong to white, because in this case it's just black doesn't have anywhere to push. So now all of it's the difference of having an eye and not having an eye.
This is a heavy-duty reading.
When you have a semi-eye like this, eyes are usually very important.
Sure.
And especially when you have inside liberties, although inside liberties belong to white. So that's how white turned around the semi-eye. It's a very big move. It's a lot of territory. So it's maybe bigger than you might think.
Yeah. Give me a sense of that, because I've been having trouble with sort of, there's all this fighting here and I don't quite...
You want to have a number for the amount of territory?
I do.
Okay, 10, 24, it's 29 points now.
Wow,
And
okay.
before that, it was more like 10 points. So it's white gained
that's huge.
19 points, plus the white group is something like 20 points. It's close to 40 points, the difference between this being a black territory and white territory.
Okay, that's fascinating. Okay, Thank you.
So, the other thing is that Ozeki is not really the player who likes to attack and kill. Even if I was behind, I'd be sort of happy in this position where I know that obviously it's going to die, right? And I would be optimistic at least. But he doesn't like to play this game. He likes to win slowly and steadily with territory. And that's what he's good at. So it's not really his style either, and that's that's another reason why he probably should have played this one. Okay, so back to the game. He's trying to attack. Actually, black could have done this. This is still a... this just makes it easier to kill the white group. Sometimes white's going to deal with, for instance, the peep here by doing this. But this kind of trade is probably going to be a win for black. It's just the left side is enormous. So this would have been an option, which might have been a bit easier than the game. But he's trying to kill it now. So yeah.
Question, I think you talked about this yesterday. They're asking if you know the Japanese player. You're very familiar with his play. I don't know, you know.
Well, you know, we're not close.
Right.
But I've seen a lot of his games. He's at the level that he wins a lot of Japanese amateur tournaments, and that puts him in some of the professional tournaments. He's allowed to participate. He's quite a formidable player. He's not a professional.
Right,
he has a job, but when you are the champion of an amateur tournament, you start at the lower levels of a professional tournament, and you get to participate. I don't think he gets prize money out of it actually, because he's an amateur.
Right.
Yeah, but
so you've seen his.
But he's not an easy player to defeat. He's good at the slow game where you count the territory and stuff.
Right.
And so it's annoying. But here he's sort of forced to try to kill the white group. And white probably had some, I haven't researched it very well, but white probably had chances to live with this group. But as it turned out, at this point it's starting to look pretty dangerous. So he probably had to find a better move inside. I don't know, it looks like, it does look sort of challenging.
That's really tricky. I don't...
Maybe this one. It's not clear that white can live, actually. But this would be a move that would be sort of cutting off the black group with possibly a forcing move here next. Mm-hmm. So the health of this black group is relevant. So for instance, let's make a diagram. So say black plays here and here. We get something like this.
It's an eye and a half.
Okay, this is getting really difficult to kill. So let's try a different variation. Maybe it's better for black to play here. Okay, so what I was trying to talk about was this move, which cuts black off and sort of sets this up. And this is and then later on this group is, there are going to be issues with this group too. So I think that this would be more like a good idea. In the game, after this area sort of cleared up, it started to look like black was going to kill the white group. So here black is connected out and also has a potential connection underneath. White only has the one eye here. So this one eye is the only eye white has. White has to escape out in this direction.
He's running right into a black area.
There's black stones there that are in the way. There's dodgy of this stone on the left, which makes it complicated.
This game is giving me a headache. I'm sorry. We should have done this earlier when I was fresher.
Okay. So at this point, it looks pretty dead.
Pretty dead.
Yeah. And white is in overtime.
Not a great time to be trying to...
Not a great time, yeah. But he plays this move. At this point, if black had played here... Now, this was easy. It's really easy for a player who is accustomed to playing this kind of fight. Maybe it was tough for Ozeki, because he doesn't like to do this anyway. But this is just dead. So
it's not his thing.
It's not his thing. This is dead.
Oh, dear.
And if white plays in this direction, this is cut off.
Two cutting points, that's right.
And if white plays like this, it's a bit more ambiguous. But black has that cutting point at N16 at any point. So in a variation like this, white has to find a way to kill this whole black group, but it's not going to happen.
So people are asking, so the way we work, guys, is that this is not the first time. First of all, Michael in the morning has got his chief referee duty,
right,
so he does sort of see these games at various points, but you don't usually spend more than a few minutes while you're
I'm floating around.
floating
so
around, right?
Yeah.
So he's seen some parts of these, but he hasn't seen all of them. Then Michael does take a quick look at
At
these
the AI
at the AI games here. So, but that said, he's spending, I don't know, maybe 60 or maybe a couple minutes. You're not reviewing these games in depth before we.
Oh no, definitely not.
Yeah.
Well, you don't even have the sponsored AI thing.
Right.
So it's limited.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not.
I should get that.
Not as good as I would like. Yeah.
So just so you all know, so it's pretty damn impressive, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh,
okay. All right.
Well,
that's where I was.
Well,
going
actually,
with
this move, for most players, this move is pretty easy. I think.
Right.
Because
It's
there were three of us watching. Takemiya Yoko, who is the son of Takemiya Masakiya, the famous Takemiya.
Yeah, my favorite player.
But Takemiya Yoko is his son and is also a professional player. He's high ranked, but not a title holder player. He's not at that level. And so we have two sort of middle-aged professional players who immediately see this move.
Yeah.
And so it's that level. So you should be catching it. And I was surprised that he made this move. It just looks like it's. This looks like it doesn't cut it. It doesn't look right. And so just looking at that, I already have a bad feeling. So if black had played here, which might be the shape move, the idea is that white plays here, black plays here, and black can take away the eye, but white is going to be escaping.
Going home.
Yeah.
Home.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well.
Almost home.
Black will play here, but yeah. Anyway. So that's the idea that white has. If white had started, the other option would have been for white to start with this move, but then black gets a good shape to the right. So in this case, this stuff is not going to be good enough because black's connection on the right is perfect. And then nothing's happening. So it's that difference. White's trying to get something just a little bit more with the kick here. And black could have countered with this, so it wasn't such a difficult.
That's a great move. I mean, that, It's just ki, right? Like boom, right there.
Okay, so let's see. He played here, so that just looks like it's not going to work. Okay.
It kind of looked clever to me for a second,
Okay, so the thing is that white still has that potential towards the center.
Sure.
And the difference between previous diagrams is that black's connection here is not perfect. Okay, so white played all of this first, which was white's mistake. So what white did there on the right set up this move at N16 for black, and black got to make a trade out of it by breaking into the top side. So this was actually the moment it became an issue of territory. Ozeki was back in his realm of the winning game, so now he's okay.
He doesn't have to worry about the killing anymore.
Yeah, he didn't have to kill anymore.
He must have been delighted.
So
it's like, I can do this.
Sort of like the opposite of how I would feel. But, now it's just territory, and he's okay. And black has a small lead at this point. White shouldn't have played so many moves there. White should have started from the other side. If white had started like this, it would have been much more challenging for black. So basically, if black plays here and white plays this exchange, the thing is that white can play here now. And this is going to be a call for... Oh, sorry, it's not even a call.
It's just a capture,
So
that's a problem.
So, it would be the call at some point, but anyway. So black has no way to cut white off without giving white, so like white would potentially have an eye here. So the fact that black's weak on the right there is a huge headache for black. This is the main diagram where white gets to cut black off. So that's the whole issue. So in the game, white played this exchange first, which made the cut at N16 more effective. So that was white's mistake. And now white's just like... so now the only questions are how much of this is black going to get on the left side. For the time being, this white group is alive, but black is making a threat towards the bottom side. So white can deal with the right side here. If white deals with the right side, black is going to get the whole left side. So let's see what happened in the game. In the game, white is doing the left side first, and black is, for the time being, black is threatening the, so at this point, it's either the top right corner or the right side. And so white really needs 3 hands here. So white ended up losing the top right corner, and it's an end game. But now white's getting into trouble here because white needed to do it this way. So we're gonna see stuff happening.
Now we come back to this.
Yeah. So white needed to do it this way.
The groups that won't
and,
die.
Yeah. Well, something might happen here, but it's just territory. White's losing anyway. But white played this way. Okay. Threatening the 4 stones, right? If you play here, what's happening in the corner?
Oh, this is a shortage of liberties again.
White can't push here.
Can't push here. That's right. That's right.
So white plays here, black plays here.
Oh, that is.
White plays here, black plays here. So white had to play here.
This is by the way, this is why studying life and death is actually, it's not just about life and death because it's applicable in other situations.
Yeah. So obviously that was bad. That's why white had to play like that. White had to answer on this side. And so it's actually starting to look like maybe it's going to die.
Yeah.
And they're fighting, so
Wow.
But white was losing anyway. So the real issue was this fight in the center. So it was probably at this point where white actually probably had a better way to live. So I was suggesting this move. I think this looks pretty good. But as we were saying, I didn't really have time to research it.
Sure.
But my gut feeling is that white's probably okay by playing here.
Simpler. Oh my God, what? Woo!
But so if white could find a neat way, tidy way to save this group, white would be winning after capture. So just going back at this point.
So one of these stories is it's big dragons don't die.
And didn't, right?
Yeah.
But he did have to find a more tidy way to handle it. So it wasn't a case where living automatically secured a win.
Great game. What a game.
Okay, one more.
All right. One more, folks. Hang in there. We're going to get through round 3. We're coming up on board 1. Whew. Man, is it too early for us to start drinking? I feel like...
Oh, I have my sake right here.
No.
You have to start it over.
Okay. All right. The mouse is hot.
Oh, wow.
All right. All right, folks. Who is this? I know this is China, I think,
It's
right?
China, yeah.
China against, oh my God, Thailand.
Yeah.
Chen Fang Ma for China, 8 done. Oh, geez. Rich Karu Hawanawit. Close enough?
I wouldn't have done better. Okay. So China has the black stones.
China-Thailand. Okay, let me just, you go on. I'm just going to let folks know who's playing.
Okay,
China,
right.
it's white, I think, right?
China's black.
China's black, thank you. China, black versus Thailand. Is that what I said? Did I say Thailand?
I think so.
I did say Thailand.
Okay, so, yeah. This is a Joseki.
And you're welcome for streaming on YouTube and Twitch. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so white's played a lot of moves on the top, and this is a pincer. Yeah, it's probably not so bad.
Which does not say it's good, it's just not so bad.
Well, I wouldn't have played this way, but
Right.
I wouldn't have chosen this Joseki. But I'm not confident in what I probably would have jumped out. So let's look at that. So this Chinese player is really tough. So yeah, I probably would have jumped out if white plays it tall. It's also a position where like I would be thinking of moves like this because the top right corner is sort of light at this point, and white can try stuff like this. The ladder looks like the ladder is going to favor white, so if we get into something like this, ladders like this would favor white. There's a number of ladders in this variation, and so if black plays here, you could get into one of these complicated josekis where it looks like this. But you know, in this case, white's sort of glad that he has this exchange in, because it's sort of creating interference. It's making black busy there, because in variations like this, the fight's going to move to the right side fairly soon, and you have that white stone there interfering with black's plans. And so I think it looks like it's going to work.
And
So-
I just wanted to remind folks, Mr. China, always one of the favored folks, but as we saw yesterday in your commentary, when China's first round game was against Germany,
And it was really dangerous.
and it was, it was
Germany had a few chances.
that's right.
Maybe China was jet lagged
That's
because he's super strong today.
yeah, it's super. This is not the same guy.
So
Had his Wheaties today.
this is another Joseki you see a lot. And again, the top right corner is sort of starting to get important, and so it becomes sort of interchangeable points with 14 and 15 because this is going to be really big too. So white did have the option. This is a move that one of the AI moves that relatively I like. It's challenging black to a fight. It is a lot of variations. So yeah, if you don't like the variations and you're playing with black, you can avoid the complicated ones just by playing here, and you haven't really lost a lot. And so if you want to keep it simple, this is the move that I would suggest. Okay, so yeah, this black getting territory on the top side is sort of ideal for black because he's reducing the power of white's shimari here. So it's good for black to be getting territory towards the top side in this variation, and I sort of like this for black. Yeah, but it's probably close to even. Attached against the knight's shimari, so you play an attachment against this shimari, and then you can give that territory away. Okay, so white starts the fight here. Yeah. It's difficult. Like nothing special has happened, but it's already good for black. So white had to find a better way to do this.
It's just making profit all over the place.
I would suggest a more computer-style move. So, for instance, something like this, maybe. White has to be very busy here and just get some extra space. So, for instance, something like this might be good. And white has to be able to answer black 8. White has to be able to get both sides. Otherwise, it's just not working. So white has to find something like this, and then it would be closer to an even game. So in the game variation, he has to be able to play here. Otherwise, the whole thing is already a failure.
It's too big.
Yeah.
The corner is too big for black.
Yeah. So I think that the point that black plays here, it's already looking like when black plays this move. That's so big. And so yeah. So now he cuts here. There's a forcing move at b9, so that's why white played an Atari from underneath. But it's going to be really difficult to kill this black move. Okay, here. It looks like it's in danger, but if white cuts here, This is the Tesuji, and it becomes difficult for white to escape out because white can't do the shape move here.
Nope.
And so if white does something like this, it's very cramped, very, very cramped, and you lose all your liberties, and it's not going to end well.
Oh,
so it doesn't really matter what black does at this point. So white has three liberties.
1, 2, 3, 4. Black has many.
Black has many. It doesn't really. Black has enough that black doesn't really have to play the optimal moves anymore. So black could play that. 3 liberties. Wow. That's not going to do it. So yeah. Otherwise, if white plays here, again, there's so many black stones there, it's just not going to work. So that doesn't work. So white had to extend, and black at this point black has sabaki. So if white tries to kill that, something like this, it's going to be a ko for the time being. But black has a sort of a hidden forcing move at e14 there, which is going to help black escape out. You know, we're playing the game variation, okay. So that's the e14 move I was talking about. And you know, a ko is a success for black. It's dangerous for white. Okay, yeah. So here black had more than one way to deal with this, but he's just playing it the safe variation. So here if white covers, black can push through here. So that was, it was just so difficult to find a weakness in black's play. I don't see any bad moves.
Wow.
So
nothing bad.
And white was doing fairly well, but it was just that he was one move behind. So I'd say that even if we go back to this point, it's not necessarily good for white, but white does have to find a way to survive here without giving up so much on the right side, and then it would still be.
With the eye making sure that you just have to be able to do that S6, whatever you do, finish with the S6, right? So you have to be able to have a good...
White has to be able to answer. Black's not going to play that move until black feels threatened there, but when black does, white has to be able to answer.
Got it.
Whew. So that was very... Chinese players starting to look really strong. And I think, I see a distinct difference between this game and the game we looked at yesterday.
Night and day.
So I think it must have been jet lag or something.
Yeah. He was looking, I was, because I was getting the recorder set up, and he was definitely looking just a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that look. So, and that's often the first day kind of a thing anyway. But he's definitely in shape now. So that's it for our round 3 games. The round 4 obviously have been played on Pananet. We'll see what happens with those. Round 5 coming up tomorrow. Look for some reports on both rounds in the next e-journal, on our social media. In the morning, Michael's got his chief referee duties. So we will have, what we'll be doing is on YouTube and Twitch will be streaming just the games themselves, but also players are invited as they come into this room to come over and do their own analysis on the stream. And then Michael will be back tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll pick some from the round 4. We have a bunch of different choices. We'll see. Games. But as always, Michael, thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it. And thank you all for watching. And we will see you tomorrow. Take care. Let's see if I can stop the stream. Stop recording.